Patreon Q&A 145. There's going to be spoilers for all of the series I'm going to be talking about, so tread carefully. Natedawg asks, what if Class 1A meets up with Deku after Bakugo sends his location out to everyone? And we finally get the reunion, but Deku decides he doesn't have time for anything besides hunting villains and just tries to leave, only to find out Class 1A planned for this and attempt to capture him for his well-being. So this is a great idea, and I can actually see this playing out. Because at the end of the latest chapter, Bakugo's like, I found him, guys, and he has the phone to his mouth, implying that maybe there's a whole bunch of other students out there in the city looking for Izuku as well, maybe all of Class 1A. And now that he's notified everyone, they all might converge where they are, and then that might lead to Izuku saying like, guys, didn't you get the letter I gave you? Like, I'm doing this for a reason. And they're like, no, that doesn't matter. You're our friend, we're taking you back, you would do the same thing for us. And then Izuku maybe even gets frustrated and he's like, look guys, I'm not going back yet. There's things I need to do, and then they maybe will notice that Izuku's all like crazy and obsessed. And then maybe they're like, we thought maybe it would come to this, but we're gonna have to take you in by force, like for your own good. And then we might get either Bakugo versus Izuku, the rubber match, or we might get full-blown all of Class 1A with Bakugo taking on Izuku, like kind of like how they did against Mirio maybe. But it might not be the definitive outcome that you think it would be, because it's been shown us throughout this arc that Izuku is exhausted, especially like right now. Like, he's not really able to maintain the crazy hectic lifestyle he's been living, and especially like in the previous chapter, the vestiges were like, hey, your body, you can't keep up with this. So it's possible that if he does take on Class 1A, he straight up loses because of his exhaustion, and they forcefully take him back to UA, and maybe that's how this arc wraps up possibly. And that leads into the next arc to where they're all like, hey, Izuku, you don't have to be by yourself. We can help you. And maybe that's what the second user was talking about. Like, hey, keep going after All For One, but, bring a team with you, because that's kind of what I guess the second user did. But yeah, I think that would be really cool if we get to see Izuku going against Bakugo, or going against Bakugo and Class 1A. That would be amazing. Boxsteam asks, between Garo and Boros, who would you say is the better villain in terms of character writing? So definitely Garo, and that's because Boros doesn't really have much depth to him, and it's not even like he was supposed to. He served his purpose in the series, and that's what one wanted. As we're with Garo, he's much more important to the story than Boros, and he's also in it much longer than Boros. I think Boros only has like 5 or 6, maybe even less chapters than that. So Garo has like a major advantage over Boros. Both are great characters, but in my opinion, Garo is clearly the superior written one. Delamante asks, who do you think would win between Megumi and Itadori? That's a great question, and it seems like it would be pretty competitive right now, right? They both have been pretty impressive in their last couple fights, but right now it doesn't seem like one is like definitively stronger than the other, Like, it could very well be a 50-50, not take into account Maharaga, because even if we're going into like bloodlust territory, and Megumi did decide to like last resort summon Maharaga, well then I guess Sukuna would maybe come out regardless. I don't know, but right now I think they're, pretty even. Dino W asks, what's going on with the Villain Academia arc? Did they skip it, or is it going to be in flashbacks? So they're not skipping it. They've just decided to do the arc that happens after that first, like the Endeavor Agency arc or whatever it's called. And I kind of understand why Bones has decided to do this, because I guess they don't want to go into like super dark stuff with the Villain Academia and then just cut over to like the Endeavor arc at the end of the season. Maybe they would much rather just have all of the stuff play out with like Izuku and all of Class 1A and everything, and then just finish the season off with the Villain Academia. What do you think of Izuku's character development from the beginning to now, and what is attributed to it the most? So I really like it, and I think the majority of fans do too. It seems like there's certainly been an uptick in the popularity of the series with this latest arc, and I think the things that have attributed to it the most are like experience, responsibility, and pressure. All of those things Izuku has right now in spades has caused him to become who he is for sure, as opposed to in the beginning, he didn't have nearly any of those. First Wolf asks, what do you think of magic users in the My Hero universe, like Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate, like characters whose powers aren't quirks but magic? I think it could have worked if Horikoshi introduced it in like the beginning of the series, or at least hinted at the existence of it, and then maybe gradually through the series showed that it is something that exists. I think it would work then, but if it kind of is just shoehorned in in like randomly halfway through the series or even towards the end of the series, I think it might break it in a way. L asks, anime you've been recommended the most and haven't watched yet? Hunter x Hunter probably, and L's recommendation. So Hunter x Hunter is one of them for sure, but it's got to be between Hunter x Hunter, Baki, and Berserk as the 3 most requested that I haven't watched yet. Which one is it gonna be that I pick up? Not really sure yet. Little Ferrari asks, how do you see the rest of this fight with Garo and Silverfang going? So like you, I think that it will probably be interrupted, or at least I really hope it does. I think it would kind of sour things if Garo just like definitively defeats Bang and then that's it. But then again, I didn't want them to fight originally until like the very end of the arc, and that changed. So maybe that could happen too, but I think them getting distracted and Bang getting messed up by the cadres, I think would be a good direction to go. Who do you see winning between Connor and Dustin in the trilogy fight? So I've already put my money on Dustin for this one, and I have faith that he'll probably finish Connor again, maybe in like the 2nd or 3rd possibly. Connor will probably do better, but man, if he wins, it's going to be because like he catches Dustin with a big shot. I don't think he's going to outwork him or anything. Mr.Awsome asks, how do you think Mashal is going to continue? So I don't follow Mashal. I'm about 40 or so chapters behind right now, and at this point I'm honestly just waiting for it to get an anime before I really start going into it, because once it does, that will be one of the series that I pick up on the channel for sure, because I think it will be like the next Jujutsu Kaisen or around there. What is a Logia that hasn't been introduced that you think could rival the Yami Yami no Mi? Hasn't been introduced? So maybe the wind or air Logia, whatever it's eventually going to be revealed to be. You know, the fruit that dragon very likely has, that probably rivals the Yami Yami no Mi. Paxson D asks, how do you feel about Darkshine losing to Vomited Fear Ugly and Golden S showing up early? So I'm honestly on board with all of this. I think it's important that Darkshine does lose because it's setting up his, you know, character arc later down the line, and you know, it's a little unfortunate that he's not losing to like the top dog, you know, like how he did before with Awakened Garo, but I'm sure he'll lose to him again. And Golden S appearing early could either mean that the arc is ending sooner than we thought, or there might be another evolution to Black S, like there might be something above Golden S maybe. But as for King, I think that sequence is still going to happen. If Saitama grew up in the My Hero universe and achieved the same level of power, do you think he'd still be depressed? The only way he would be as popular as All Might in the My Hero world if he was like an actual registered pro hero, which is one of the things in One Punch Man is that he's not, therefore he doesn't get any recognition. So the same thing would probably happen in the My Hero world, and he would probably still be depressed. But if he was a registered pro hero and was getting recognized for his feats, it would certainly help with things, but I'm really not sure if it still wouldn't ultimately lead to depression for Saitama. Samurai asks, do you think you're going to do a Patreon-only streams on Twitch or something? I don't want to make any promises, but maybe at some point in the future, but right now I'm really not sure. Do you feel like Bakugo may have fizzled out because of power cliffing? I mean, it really remains to be seen at this point, but I don't think so, mainly because Horikoshi is painfully aware of how popular Bakugo is with the fandom, so I don't think he's going to leave him behind. I'm sure he'll be able to keep doing that until, you know, like a realistic percentage. Realistic, I mean like, once it starts getting into like the 70s or 80s or above that, there's no reason why Bakugo should be able to keep up with that, you know what I mean? There has to be a point where he eventually will. What would happen if pre-awakened Garo ate a monster cell? So if it's the Garo that fought Darkshine, not really sure, because we've never seen anyone who was like already started monstrification or half monster or whatever eat a monster cell. But also when you do eat one, you kind of just cap out on your power and that's it. Like it hard plateaus you and you no longer can progress, which is like the big aspect of Garo's game. Like he keeps progressing, keeps breaking through plateaus. But if he were to eat monster cell, he would lose that ability. So either it would do nothing to him because he's already progressed so far at that point, you know, breaking through plateaus that you normally otherwise wouldn't be able to without going through the death revival thing, or he eats it, then it makes him a little stronger maybe and a full-blown monster, but then that's it. Like he would probably lose to Bang maybe at that point. Sean H asks, did you see the Chainsaw Man PV? It looks great. I did see it and it does look great. It actually looks really impressive and I'm super excited for it. I've been waiting for the anime to come out for me to actually get into Chainsaw Man, so now that it is, I'll probably be doing some reviews on the channel for it once it drops. StarReaper asks, do you see Mirio intervening soon with Deku and kind of pulling him back from the brink of mental breakdown / physical breakdown? Or do you think our boy Bakugo is going to straighten him up? So going back to what I talked about in the beginning of the video, I think it's probably going to be Bakugo or Class 1A. It would be cool if Mirio shows up and does it, but I think Mirio is maybe being saved for like the last arc, but I doubt he does anything major significant like that before the end. Do you think we'll get a surprise fight in the future where All Might puts a bit of his power even if he loses, or do you think All Might will generally stay powerless till the end? Unfortunately, he's probably going to stay generally powerless till the end. It seems like right now he can only go into muscle form for like literally a second or something, so I don't think he's going to be able to do anything, let's say, if he's forced to defend himself against Stain. Skinny Giraffe asks, what's your favorite webcomic event post-Monster Association arc? Man, that's a good question. There's so many good ones, and it's really hard to pick a favorite one, but I'll say right now, maybe the Amai reveal. I think that was handled really well. Like, I was so into that when it was happening, and I still am. I mean, it hasn't been resolved yet. So maybe that reveal with Saitama showing up, that was super exciting. What's up with your channel banner? Is it a troll? So yeah, it pretty much is a troll. It's just a little funny joke and kind of like a placeholder. I'm waiting to figure out what like the real channel banner is going to be from this point on. Bullfire54 asks, do you think that sunken continent brought up in the last chapter might be what Amai was talking about with how the world of One Punch Man had a huge war that caused the world to shift? And do you think that there's people living over there, or do you think there's only monsters? Yes to both, or at least I hope yes to both. I do think the sunken continent probably has something to do with the crazy nuclear warfare that happened in the past, which I think said was like over 100 years ago. I could be wrong. Somewhere around there. And I definitely do think that's going to play into what Amai eventually reveals to Saitama, which will probably go deeper into the exposition once it gets into the manga. And yes, I do think, or at least I hope, that there are other people out there on the other continents, whether it's like humans or monsters, and I think both will probably be strong. Like the strongest monsters maybe live outside of the supercontinent. I think that would be amazing reveal. And also if there's like humans that are living out there too that are also super powerful because of, you know, the environment they live in, they need to become that strong to survive. Zapphod B asks, could Spring Mustachio become as strong as an S-Class? Yes, I think so. In the future, he probably will become an S-Class hero. It seems like he's being set up for something like that, maybe. I mean, at the minimum, I think he's going to join the new Council of Swordsmen led by Atomic Samurai. How do you like the Golden S design in the manga? Do you like his sleeker form in the webcomic or his bulky form? I honestly like his bulky form, and I'm a big fan of bodybuilding, so that doesn't hurt. But I honestly fully expected Murata to draw Golden S in this manner, which is pretty much just Monster Dark Shine. I like it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. I want to thank all of my awesome patrons, and if you would like to be in next week's video, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.